o'clock, and we're going to take a roll call vote to open the Finance Committee meeting. So I'm going to go around here. Ray Andrews.
Here.
Chris Reynolds here. Mary Hartman.
Here.
Lois Wassoff.
Here.
Dee Ortner.
Here.
Brian Taylor.
Here.
Eric Dahlberg.
Yeah.
And John Hickling.
Here.
Okay, terrific. So I don't really have anything specific on chair's comments, and I don't believe we have any correspondence. I'm going to cover everything I need to do in the other items of the agenda. So I'm not aware of anything else we have to cover there. Okay, so I want to vote on the, I'd like to present, I guess, first, and then ask for a vote on the FY23 Finance Committee officer slate. So through my
Excuse me,
conversation.
Madam Chair. Sorry to interrupt. May I just ask a question very quickly?
Sure. Yes,
Is anyone taking minutes?
that's a good point.
That's such
Hey,
a good question.
yeah, hey, John, you want to take minutes? Is your
I
swan song here?
nominate, let's see, who do I nominate? I nominate Ray Andrews.
Yeah, I could do the video after the meeting as well as, yeah.
No, you could take notes easily now. I think this will be a fairly straightforward meeting.
Sorry,
but-
Madam Chair, I didn't mean to interrupt. but
No,
it
no,
seemed
it's a
like-
good.
It
that's a
seemed like
good
a
thought.
relative point.
It's
It
an
is.
excellent point.
It is, you're right.
I-
Yeah, is
I
that
have been
okay with
mean
you,
to-
Ray?
We can
I've
record,
been-
we can
I've done
record.
bad things to John Hickling in the past, so I think this is fair play, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
Uh,
great.
We're able to record this session, so I'd be happy to record and transcribe this session if that's helpful.
Well, I think
Sorry-
Ray's gonna
sorry-
do it,
sorry
so-
to
Okay, go, Ray.
Yeah,
I'll try.
Brian, you still owe your other minutes, so
Okay.
do those. Okay.
I was actually looking, I'm glad you raised that because I was looking for the assignment on that, and I'm happy to do that. So I'll go back to my email and try to
Oh,
find
I'll
it.
send it to
So-
you.
so I have that
I
right
know what
here.
you owe.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Brian, I happen to have it right in front of me. If
There-
if
Can you
that would be helpful.
can you
June
please-
24th, 21,
Okay,
and July 22nd, 21 are the two that I had you down as assigned to. And so, yeah, so thank you very much.
okay, I'll do that right away. Thank you for that. Sorry for the inconvenience.
That's okay. And Ray, I see Kathy Kukalo and Peggy are here now as well. So, and I see, is that Greg Garello, the GG?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so we have.
Yes,
three
my
more
apologies.
members.
I'm finishing up dinner, so I'll be
No,
in
no
and out of
problem.
the screen, but I can.
No,
hear
no
you.
problem. I just want to make sure that the minute taker knows who's here. Okay, all right. Now we can talk about the slate for next year. So after talking to a number of you and also consulting with Dean and Mary, we have a slate of folks for next year. I can find my little list here. So for, God, I know it by heart. Anyway, I don't know why it's not in my notes. Anyway, so the chair for FY23 on this proposed slate is Peggy Briggs. So we thank Peggy for agreeing to stand for chair. And vice chair would be Parashar Patel. He's also be guidelines chair. So Parashar is going to reprise his role from last year. And for clerk, it would be Lois Wassoff. And for guidelines clerk, it would be Amrith Kumar. So those are the folks that I'm putting forward on the slate. Is there any discussion of the slate?
Is there any requirement to be on the committee for a period before becoming any of these officers, or
Nope.
just asking?
Yep. Okay, so if there isn't any further discussion, I will take a motion on the slate.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
So, all right, second. Okay, so John Hickling,
Yes.
Chris Reynolds, I'm a yes. Mary Hartman,
Yes.
Lois Wassoff,
Yes.
Dee Ortner,
Yes.
Brian Taylor,
Yes.
Eric Dahlberg,
Yes.
Ray Andrews. Ray, how do you vote on the slate, Ray? Oh, you must be on.
Sound is dead again?
Oh, no, now I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah,
You vote yes?
Okay,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Kathy Kukalo,
Yes.
Greg Gariello,
Sure, yes.
okay. Peggy Briggs.
Yes.
Oh, and Don Kupka is here as well. Don, how would you like to vote? Did you hear the motion?
I did not. Sorry.
Okay.
So I should abstain.
So it's the officer slate for next year. So the chair would be Peggy Briggs, the vice chair would be
Yes.
Parashar Patel. He'd also be chair of guidelines. The clerk would be Lois Wassoff, and the guidelines clerk is Amrith Kumar. That's the proposed slate.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think I got everybody. Is there anybody I didn't get? Okay, all right, so that's unanimous and that passes. That's great. So the new group will take over right after town meeting. So congratulations to the new folks. I know Parashar and Amrith couldn't be here tonight, but they are, it won't be a surprise. So, good. All righty. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's talk about where we are on warrant articles. So I'm going to share some, I want to update you on Article 18, and I want to update you on 19, which is the CPS capital budget, and also Article 46, which is the reformatory branch trail. So I'm going to see if I can bring something up here. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know why it always seems to start with, there we go, that's the one I want. Okay, so when last we met, we voted to, you voted to allow me to go and talk to the school committee with respect to the guideline on CPS and changing or coming to agreement on the budget. At the time of the meeting, when I went back and looked at the minutes on this, and it was not what I thought exactly, and I'll explain that to you. So we voted to have a $172,000 in the motion to increase essentially our guideline, although we weren't changing the guideline, but to come to agreement on a budget that was $172,000 greater than where we were, in the hopes that the school committee would then agree to the remaining difference, which was $138,000 thereabouts. So that was on 4/7. The next day, or a couple of days after that, I spoke with Cynthia Rainey from the school committee, and the number that I went with was the actual number of the full underage. So the night we were talking about this, we were using 172,000. It's actually 174,172. So to make it clean, that's what I went with, which is 174,172. So that's the number that was adjusted from our side and from the CPS budget side to come out to 43,010,486. So that's the number that was accepted by the school committee on the 13th of April. So that was their next meeting date. So that was what they voted on. And then the select board voted affirmative action on that number 2 days ago or 3 days ago on April 26th. So the actual number is going to be the 43,010,486, which is, it was $2,000 or so different than what we had assumed on 4/7. Anybody have any questions on that?
And that, Madam Chair, represents an increase of how much, do you recall?
Well, an increase from which side, John?
The CPS budget year-on-year increase,
Oh, it's 3.12%.
3.1.
I don't have the exact dollars, but yeah, so as
No.
opposed to 3.45, it's
Mhm.
3.12.
Those were the numbers I was looking for. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
So question, so they are still over the guideline by the delta, which is about
No.
138,000? Is that
In
am I
total,
tracking?
they are not. In total, they are not. So no, they moved their number. So the guideline never changed, right? So we never changed the guideline. But if you look at the CPS number and the CCHS number in total, they are now in absolute agreement with the guideline. If you added
Okay.
those two numbers together, we are now absolutely to the dollar in agreement between CPS and the high school. But
Great.
there is, so that's where we ended up. So they had to move their number down another 138,000. So the initial, if you go back in time here, the only drop in their number, holding revenue to the side, was about $37,000 for a retirement. If you add that to the 138,000 that they had to meet our number of 43,010,486, they came down in total from when we started 180,000 or so, and we moved the amount of that revenue, which is 174,000. It's complicated to follow. I know it is. I can see, but yeah, but that's the best way I can explain it to you. If you want me to go through the math again, I can. I have it all here.
But
So
they
Chris-
did move. They did move since you asked them. Sorry, Mary, I didn't mean to cut you off. But they did come down since you went back to them and proposed.
They
the-
had
the
to, right,
174.
in order
Right,
to-
exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
It
in
just
order
didn't
to
say
come
it
up
in
with
this
the-
slide is all that was missing. Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
So all to
And-
come,
Sorry, Chris.
okay, go ahead.
Did,
I don't know who's
did
talking.
they, so we don't have to go through it in detail here. I didn't get the chance to watch the meeting. I'll rewatch it. Did they detail where the 138 came from?
No, I assume it's gonna, they didn't need to, I didn't ask them to. I assume it, well, if you watch the meeting where they voted it, that question was asked by the school committee and I believe the answer was it was gonna come from contingency.
Okay.
It was not coming from SPED, if that was your question.
Thank you.
And what is contingency?
So a reserve, right?
Yeah.
They have 125,000, I think, in a reserve account, so I assume that maybe they'll use that in something else.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know. That was not my discussion, right? My discussion was, can you meet this number? The answer was, yes, we will.
Okay,
So I wasn't talking to the school committee. I was simply delivering the message from the FinCom to see if we could come up to a number that we could agree to for town meeting, which we were.
good.
Yeah, that's what we discussed in some detail previously with respect to not getting into the weeds, so to speak, as to the actual what aspects they were changing, but rather focus on a final number.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what we did. That's what we did. And so, as I said, when we were talking about it on the 7th, the 3.12 to me is a good place to end up in terms of percentage growth for them. So however they want to divide it up, they can divide it up. That'll be up to them, as we said.
So Chris, do you need a motion for this number?
I do, because we never voted affirmative action on a number.
Okay,
So I would.
I
yeah, go
move
ahead.
that the finance committee recommend affirmative action on a CPS budget of $43,010,486.
Second.
Second.
Okay, then I will do, let me just take this down for a second.
Sorry, just if I may, usually procedure allows for one more question period. Is that okay? I just
Yes,
really wanted to
sure.
just point out that I think this is totally reasonable, acceptable compromise. It just concerns me that it may undermine the credibility of the SGR at some point in the future the sustainable growth rate. At some point, it may be an issue. Thank you. That's all I wanted.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Let me just stop sharing so I can see you guys. Okay, all right, so I'll take a, yes.
I have a
Ray.
question. So John, the sustainable growth rate, does that apply to each department or does that apply to the whole budget? To the whole, the town?
Well, I mean, I guess in theory, help me with this, anyone else? It applies to the whole budget, but, of course, it's dependent upon the separate entities within the town budget, within the total budget. So it could apply to each one individually, I would presume.
Wasn't there when it was designed. I don't know. Okay.
It's one of the things we look at when we're building the guidelines. So the guideline tends to look at things at the individual, schools, like one school,
Okay.
the high school, the CPS, and the town. So that's the level at which you would think about the SGRA. Okay. Can I take a vote now? Are you ready to vote? Okay. John Hickling,
Yes.
Chris Reynolds, I'm a yes. Mary Hartman,
Yes.
Lois Wassoff,
Yes.
Dee Ortner,
Yes.
Brian Taylor,
Yes.
Eric Dahlberg,
Yes.
Ray Andrews,
Yes.
Kathy Kukalo,
Yes.
Greg Gurriello,
Yes.
Peggy Briggs,
Yes.
Don Kupka.
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. So let me tell you so that's sort of the first part of the process was we have a number. It's been affirmed by FinCom, by the select board, and by the school committee. The timing of the vote of the school committee, unfortunately, was a day after we locked the printing on the FinCom report. So the FinCom report, which hopefully you all received in the mail.
It's good. Very good.
Yeah.
It's very good. It really is.
Thanks. The FinCom report shows it as no action. So the FinCom reflects the vote on Article 18, where we were before we reached the number with the school committee. So as a result of that, what Carmen had suggested was that we do two things. One, put an addendum on the website, the town website, which has the link to the FinCom report explaining the fact that there was a new number reached, which we've done. And secondly, to have a handout at a town meeting. So those were prepared, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, we prepared those and I sent those in. So you'll see a link if you go on the town website, and I actually have that for you if you want to see what it says, or, so there it is, right? So it says, it explains, so this is the 14th, this is the day after the vote. So it explains that we're going to recommend affirmative action on this new number, Article 18. And it explains that on March 10th, there was a no vote. And then on April 7th, we agreed on a number that we would go back to them with. And on April 13th, the school committee voted to do that. That's where it explains they had to reduce the budget by 138,413. And then it also says this is the amount. It's 303.12% over the prior year. It's so much higher than the finance committee guideline, but that in total, both the school and the high school meet the guidelines. So it's a complicated story, but that's what's in the link on the website. And that's what will be handed out at town meeting, so the public has it. The only thing here is when I was preparing these, it was before, it was before we actually could vote affirmative action. So the language is the way it is. I don't propose changing it, but we could. because I didn't have another meeting to have a true affirmative action vote on the number, but you had given me the authority to negotiate. And so that's how it's a bit clumsy, but that's how I've done it.
Christine, doesn't the moderator also say what our action was right when we're talking about the article?
Yes, she will.
So
You-
she'll.
Yes, I'm sorry, I have to stop sharing so I can see you, Greg.
Yeah, no problem. You don't need to see me, but she usually
there
says
you
for
go.
each article what the FinCom has advised, right? So she'll
Yes,
give
she will. That's correct.
another chance right there would be
Yes.
that, okay, they
Yeah.
did say yes at this point.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. And we're also going we'll talk about it later. We're going to make a statement too. So I think it'll be clear to the voters that all three parties, the select board, the FinCom and the school committee are in agreement. It was just the timing of things that made it a little bit choppy for me as I was trying to pull it together. So, but I wanted to make sure you could see everything. So that's where we are on 18. So we're in good shape on 18. Any other questions on 18 before I go to 19? Okay. All right. So 19 is, Article 19 is the CPS capital budget, which every year is somewhere around 800 or 900,000. And this year it was 900,000. It's included in the town's, the town's capital budget. So it's not a debt borrowing. I think that's a cash borrowing, if I'm right, Mary. I'm not positive. But
I don't
think that's
remember
how-
either.
I think it is.
Carrie
but-
would know. Carrie
Yeah.
knows.
It's debt.
Is it debt? Okay, sorry. I'm
Thank
wrong.
you.
Okay, so the amount, so what's going to happen, so there has been some discussion with the school committee around one of the elements of that budget, which was a $900,000 request. There was a $350,000 request to replace a gas boiler at the Alcott School. So after discussion with a number of folks in town who were concerned about the replacement of a gas boiler as opposed to some sort of a heat pump or more electric or green sustainable solution, they are on Tuesday night, the school committee voted to amend that request. So they will come to town meeting with a different request under Article 19. So they are removing the $350,000 for a boiler and they're replacing it with two items. One for $300,000 for electrical work at Ripley to prepare for heat pump installation, and $50,000 for a study of alternative energy approaches for the elementary schools. So the school committee voted that amendment to their capital request on Tuesday night. So now we have a different capital request in front of us to look at. In addition, the groups within town, so in particular, it's something called CSEC, which is the Comprehensive Sustainability and Energy Committee. So that is the committee that has been talking to the superintendent about delaying this decision on the gas boiler. So just now, tonight, this evening, they meet, and I believe they are going to be meeting with the superintendent and members of the school committee to discuss this amended article. They were talking about bringing an amendment to the floor of the meeting. If they reach agreement this evening, I think that will not happen. So I don't know what will happen. We'll see what will happen tonight if they reach agreement or not. But so one question for the committee is, do we want to take this up now, or do you want to wait to see if CSEC is going to bring a further amendment or if we're done? I have a reserved time on Sunday. I posted a meeting. You would have seen me post an agenda for 12:30, a half hour before a town meeting starts, in case we need to get together and talk about this article at that point, or anything else that comes up, frankly. But I was really thinking about Article 19. So we can discuss it tonight, or we can wait until Sunday.
You have
Chris?
any, good.
Chris,
ahead,
this
Dee.
is Dee.
What's the status of the boiler?
Oh, you mean, would it be a problem to defer it?
Right, yeah,
My understanding is it would not be, but I don't think they could defer it much longer. So I think one of the things you'd have to understand about this new article is now there's nothing in there for Alcott at all. So they took all the Alcott
Right,
money
yeah.
out, and the only thing it had was the boiler. So now there's really nothing in there for Alcott, and it's moved to Ripley. The presumption is they've moved it out, but I don't have an answer on, again, I don't have an answer. It's a question we could ask, but I don't have an answer. I think, hold on, I think Greg, you had a question.
No, I was gonna ask, you said in the meeting, you said there was 350 for a preparation of electrical work for
Yes.
something?
Yeah, for
300.
Ripley.
So that was
Ripley.
300.
300.
300,000.
Ripley, okay.
Right, at Ripley for electrical work to prepare for heat pump installation.
Which they are gonna do over at Ripley.
And that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, okay, all right. I thought that was for,
Yeah,
I
I'm
thought that
not,
was for
I'm
Alcott.
not,
so-
I'm sorry, I'm not an expert on their cap. So, but
Yeah,
that's what this
totally
is
get
what
you.
I heard. Yeah, this is what I
Okay.
heard. So that's what that's why it becomes a little interesting. We might have to ask more questions at the meeting, but now there's no opportunity other than town meeting at this point. Okay, Don.
Yeah, my question was about Ripley as well. Was that if they need to, if they're spending $300,000 in preparation for a heat pump installation, it sounds like a piece of a larger capital program. And rather than do phase one, which is install the electrical, which is useless unless we spend another $2 million on the total mechanicals. I'm just throwing that out there. I'd
Yeah.
like to see the total.
Well, I think Carrie, do they have like a 5-year plan somewhere?
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
do
they
somewhere,
do.
right?
Yeah.
They
Where does
do.
that show up?
It's probably in their budget book.
Okay,
Okay.
so I don't have that in front of me.
I don't either.
So Carrie, do you think you could maybe pull that? Can you look for that and maybe pull it up while we're talking? Is that possible, or?
I can look for it, sure.
Okay, maybe we can take a peek at it because I don't really have a lot of information on it at all. Okay, Ray.
Building on what Dee was asked, are they just trying to improve the efficiency, or they have a boiler that's failing or, on its last legs? That's maybe
It was
not for
their
us to
plan
decide.
it was their plan to replace the boiler. So it's a boiler that's near its end of life. That's the situation. They wanted to
Okay.
they wanted to replace it with a gas boiler. There was
Okay.
pushback from people in town, including students and CSEC and other committees saying, we don't understand why you're putting in a gas boiler. We'd like to understand what the alternatives are. Given that we don't have a lot of time, this came up very late in the process, right? The objections to the gas boiler came up late in the process. So I don't think they have had time to think through what their alternative might be, but I think they've agreed to look at an alternative. That's what the $50,000 is in the study. Mary.
Thanks, Chris. When I first saw this, I thought their budget was 900,000. They're deferring 350. Then why don't they come in with a lower budget to town meeting? And instead they're backfilling and saying they want to make some investments at Ripley and also a study. And I think the 900,000 has been a number that we've been allocating to them. I think it's a few years in a row now.
Yeah.
And
During
and
COVID, it went down to 800 one year, but typically
Okay,
it's 900.
yeah. And I think, is that part of our general policy that every year we allocate, I think 5 to 7% of our budget to capital improvements because it shows the bondholders that we're refreshing our assets. And out of that amount of money, 900 goes to the schools. Carrie, is
I
that?
don't know. Carrie, is that how they think about it?
Is
I
that
don't know.
how we're thinking about it? Is that how we come up with the 900,000? I guess I'm going, what's magic about the 900,000?
Yeah, so the 900,000, it's been that for a very long time. I would say at least 10 years. And it really was based on the fact that the school buildings overall were much newer than the other municipal buildings. And that's sort of the split that the former town manager and probably even former superintendent agreed to. And each year we have some conversation about it. And once in a while, they might ask for a little more, but there hasn't been a strong push for that. And they've been satisfied that the 900,000 works. I was able to find a 5-year plan, but it's last year's. So it does have 23, it's 22, 23, 24, and 25. So I don't know if that's helpful or not because things might have moved around.
Might have moved. It's not in their current budget book.
I was just looking for a separate document. I can try to flip through their budget book and see.
Well, what we can do, I mean, so, they were meeting tonight at the same time we are with CSEC to see if they can get this resolved. So we can always ask that somebody come to meet with us on Sunday to talk about it. Because I don't have answers to any of these questions.
Chris, even if they present it tonight, won't they still have to present it at town meeting?
What do you
Maybe
mean?
they'll have a handout at town meeting, but I think
Oh,
that
yes,
they
they
would have
might.
to probably get up.
They
and
might.
talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're probably scrambling around trying to figure that out. So I haven't seen, I watched their meeting on Tuesday where they voted this. But I didn't, there wasn't a schedule. There may have been one provided to the school committee, but there was nothing shown on the screen that I could see that, like you can take a screenshot of that would say, this is what it is. It was not a long discussion.
It's not on the consent agenda, is it?
No. No,
Okay.
it'll be presented. So there'll be a presentation on it. But when they go to present that, I mean, I guess what we could do, so we have we could always say at this point, we could vote no position. We could say we don't have enough information yet to understand the new request. And Carmen would say that, right? So but then I'd rather not do that, given that it's capital item for, for the schools. I would rather us get the information that we need. So as I said, I can create a list of questions. If Carrie can, if we can find something in their budget book that answers it, great. Because I don't know of what they moved forward.
We don't
I mean,
know
in
what
the
questions they are.
past, I would have to say, we have not, this is not, it's not part of the guidelines, right? So go ahead, Mary.
Chris, I have their capital plan in their budget book and it's 900,000 every year. It's just
okay.
straight 900,000.
Right. But they do have they actually have details of what
They
it's
do.
going to be.
They do.
So
do.
do you see something for Ripley in 24 that they're pulling forward to 23?
Let me look.
Christine, to answer whether we should.
Yes, it's boiler replacement at Ripley for 100,000. Yep.
100,000?
Yeah.
So it
But
looks
if they're doing a heat pump, that's going to cost more.
right.
At least for the electrical work to get the
Right.
heat pump, and then I think they're hoping to be able to qualify for some grants that will help.
That's
defray
right.
the
They
cost
mentioned
of the
that.
heat.
Yeah.
Right. So
They
this-
mentioned that there were green community funds that they might be able to use to help them with the heat pumps.
I think this capital plan was done before they got feedback from the community that they wanted to use more sustainable sources of energy. So this, I think, is going to be completely reworked.
Yeah, well, that's what I think too. So it's kind of an odd place, right? Particularly because it happened so late in the game.
Yeah.
It wasn't until a few days before Tuesday that the superintendent sent out a note, I think, that said, we're going to make this change. So as I said, I don't have any other details. Greg, you still have your hand up.
Yeah. To go for whether we should discuss it tonight, I don't think we should discuss it tonight if we don't have the data, and two, we don't know the exact questions to ask if it's going to change by a decision at a meeting that's currently happening. So either way, yeah, we could waste an hour and we'll get it 0.5% right, or we can waste an hour before the meeting, the half hour before the meeting, and get the data that we want. We might not have the data, and we might have to say, no
Yeah.
action because we don't have enough data on this, but I don't think it's worth spending, an hour tonight to discuss.
Okay, Dee?
Yeah, the only thing that I was going to mention is, as was mentioned before, they did backfill the amount for this year, with the electrical at Ripley, et cetera. But the other thing that I'm thinking about is whether or not there will be a special town meeting later in the year, and if they would be bringing up the cost of this, whatever they're going to do at Alcott, if they would be bringing it up at that time.
No idea.
And so it would say to me, then we shouldn't be giving them the 350,000 for the, the backfilled stuff for the electrical. Because if they're generally getting 900,000 a year, why could we potentially be giving them more this year?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't think that's their intent, but it's a fair question. John?
I agree with Greg. I say, given the number of questions and lack of detail, we deal with it on Sunday.
Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably reach out to Lori and say, look, we're going to need more detail as soon as you can get it to me. So if I can get something maybe tomorrow, I can, that explains this in more detail, I can get it out to you guys, and I'll see if I can have Lori or somebody else be available to meet with us at 12:30 on the floor. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. That's what we'll do. Okay.
Ooh,
All righty. So, watch out in your email. If I get any other info, I'll be sending it to you.
Sorry, Chris, but we should not deliberate on that information. We should just know it and then
You should
deliberate
just
on
know it.
Sunday.
That's correct.
Yeah.
We will deliberate on the floor on Sunday. So no emailing back and forth, just absorb the data. If I can provide for you the details of what's now in the 23 budget and how it connects to 24, whatever I can provide for you, but it's not a deliberation, right? Okay. Okay, good. So Article 46. So Article 46 has yet again been revised. So, and I still don't have the final, but I can tell you what they were talking about. I think I can show this to you. Let me see here. It's going to be hard to read, but I'm going to give it a try here. Okay. So Article 46 is the Reformatory Branch Trail. And we started out with a request for $75,000 for a study. And what we concluded back in March was that because there was no source of funding, we voted no action on Article 46. So since then, there's been several iterations. The petitioner, Mr. Posner, has worked with folks in town, and most recently, so as of Monday, my understanding is this is what the actual article is going to look like. And it's moved from a request for funds to an advisory article. So it's either going to say that the town urge or recommend, there'll be one of those two words, that the select board consider allocating $75,000 of funds made available from the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act. So we don't even know what funds would be provided to Concord under that. However, so he's asking if such funds are provided and if it was eligible, he would like the select board to consider allocating $75,000 of those funds to complete the study that he's requested. And in fact, elements of the study have also moved since the original request. It's again in response to recommendations he's received on the petition. So I'll let you read that for a second, and then we can talk about what we might do.
Chris,
Can I take?
I have,
Terry.
I have the exact wording, if I could share my screen.
Yes, please. Okay, let me stop doing it. Thank you, Terry. Thank you for your help.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yep.
No.
Yes.
Too small.
Too small. Okay, let's see what we can do about that.
That's good. Thank you.
So I think the only things that are different from what I showed you are in the blue.
Yep. It's just the
Okay.
first sentence.
It's
Yep.
just the first line.
Yeah.
So it is recommend, not urge. And instead of to consider allocating, it's to allocate or allocate, I should say.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Terry.
Yeah.
Can I take this down? All these people have questions. Can I?
Yes.
Okay.
I just have to here. When I enlarged it, it's there we go. Okay.
Okay, so before I take all the comments, so just to restate where we are, right? So this is now not tax money. It's not a request for funds out of a budget for taxes. It's a request for federal, what I think will be grant money that isn't even here yet. So the reasons why we objected to this were mainly driven by the fact that there was no source of funding for it. So, and it was a request for dollars, and there was no free cash available for it either. So, and that's the only reason why this one's in our purview, was the fact that it was a request for money. The majority of the discussion on this article has not been about, a lot of it is related to the actual trail and what will happen to the trail when this study is done. So from my perspective, I'm viewing this as something we don't take a position on at this point. It's no longer requesting tax money, and it's advisory. So those two things make me say this is not in our world anymore. So my suggestion would be that we take no position on it, but let's open it up to discussion. Mr. Hickling.
You're
Sorry,
muted,
yeah,
John.
I would agree with that last statement, Chris, that, but I would just like to ask, the committee that is responsible for this issue, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the committee. Is there a chair Goldsberry? I remember hearing that the committee responsible for this warrant article voted no action also.
No, there is no.
I don't think there's anybody responsible for it. Select board voted no, we voted no. And this is again, before he amended it. There are a number of different trails committees. There's a bunch of different groups in towns. I don't know what ones have voted yes on it or not, but it's not on the, again, it's on considerations outside of our purview with respect to the item. So I don't know. I don't follow the trails committees.
Okay, I was pretty sure I read that another committee responsible for it had recommended no action, but that.
Okay, it could be. The
Okay.
problem with this one, John, is the article itself has changed so many times. When people voted, I don't know what they were voting on. So I don't know. I don't know the answer.
So sorry, just secondarily, this article was I think when it was discussed, suggested that Bedford had decided already to pave and my understanding from my Bedford running and biking colleagues that use that path all the time is that is not the case. They approved it conceptually, but they did not approve the funding nor the acquisition of any of the property required. So I think that's just an attempt to get our facts straight for Sunday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Terry, we still have your hand up. Do you have input on this one too?
Yes, I just want to answer John's question. 2 items. The select board voted no, but on a previous version. And then on Monday night on this version, the select board voted affirmative action, that we do support this version because the decision will come later after we get the grant funds. And
And then also to address John's question, I think he might be talking about the Transportation Advisory Committee, because Phil Posner is a member of that committee, and they voted no on an old version. Well, I don't know what the position is on the new version, but this is a petition article. It's not an article from that committee.
Right.
Does that
Okay.
one member of the committee put forward this petition article? It really is not a transportation committee article.
Thank you, Terry. Eric.
Yeah, you mentioned this, Chris, and it's a point. I think it's an important point. It's not even yet clear, as far as I know, that the IIJA, the infrastructure law, that a project like this would be eligible for that funding.
Right.
So I just think there's too many open questions here.
Yeah. It's that's, yes, I think that's a fair point. Greg.
My point was going to be, if it is eligible for this funding and Concord only gets $100,000, is this warrant article locking us into $75,000 into this?
No, it's a
What-
recommendation. It's advisory. The select board
Okay, it is,
decides
okay,
whatever
that's
it
why the
wants to do.
urges, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you for the urges
Yeah.
and stuff like that, right? Maybe there wanted to be a percentage or something on that as well, but
No,
thank you very much for
yeah.
the clarification.
Yeah. Kathy.
Yeah, my opinion is that if we do have money coming from the government for infrastructure, I am in favor of these kind of rail trails and bike trails and hiking trails. So I hear you, Chris, that this may be outside of our purview, in which case I withdraw my comment, but if we were to make a decision, I would vote in favor of
Okay.
recommending that it be considered. It's
Okay.
it's a very loosey-goosey, right? I mean, it's
It is.
not. Okay.
That's why it was done, right? That's what we got to. Everybody said no, right? No one agreed to it until it was where it is now, which is pretty soft, right?
Right. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Don.
Thank
Yep, you're welcome. Don.
Well, Terry, thank you for putting up that latest wording. I thought that it said if it passed, then it would be that the select board would allocate $75,000 if we received the funding from the Infrastructure and Jobs Act. In other words, the contingency would be on whether or not we get funding under that act. And if that is the case, I think we should vote. I would certainly want to take a position on it, because I don't think that we should allocate or recommend allocation of funds to any infrastructure project, because we haven't looked at the overall priorities of the town.
Yeah. Well, Terry, can you clarify that? Because that's not what I thought, but I was listening to the discussion on Monday. I thought that was up to the select board, and there was even dialogue that said, let's say, because Susan had said, what if we had a strategic plan for trails? And I think you even said, well, if we did, when this money came, we could decide we're going to follow this plan. We're not going to allocate 75,000 to reformatory. Am I right? Or-
Yes, this
Okay.
article just recommends that the select board take this action if this grant comes in. That's all it does. The select board can decide later to do whatever they want. It doesn't lock them into anything. And I think the idea is to get the dialogue going at town meeting. If everybody at town meeting hates this article, the select board are certainly going to pay attention, and they will not want to fund it no matter how much of the grant comes in. If everybody at town meeting really likes this article, that's another story. So I think, it's a recommendation only, and that's all it is.
Does that help you, Don?
It does.
no?
I can understand the value for the select board to get a reading of the citizens' feelings toward this expenditure.
Okay. Mary,
Thanks, Chris. For me, it's helpful to separate out what the finance committee's position should be and what my own position should be. So I think from a finance committee's point of view, I would support Chris's suggestion of no position because we're not spending tax dollars. It's advisory only. And I think affirmative action or no action could be misinterpreted by this finance committee, either supporting the money or not supporting the money. So I would vote, I would go with the no position. Now individually, how I vote is going to be up to me, and I'll vote at town meeting after I listen to the discussion. But from a finance committee's point of view, I like the no position.
Brian,
I just echoing
put your
Mary's
hand up.
comments. I would support no
Oh.
position on this. To me, Terry, your comments to me just kind of basically suggest this person, just given the timing of the grant money, that whether we get approval or not approval, this is just an indication of interest. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to basically, allocate to these funds. It's just there's an indication of interest to these funds, and then you'll make a determination on whether or not that gets approved. So they're in the running for this, but we're not making approval. And so I support Chris's position on this. It's not our purview to approve or disapprove an indication of interest. This is something a little bit different than that. But yeah, thank you.
Lois,
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we should take a position on this. And what tipped me over the edge on that is what Terry said about this not being binding and not limiting the select board's discretion to make a decision when and if the grant funding is available and in light of other town priorities. As long as this isn't really mandating an expenditure or requiring the select board to approve a particular expenditure, I don't think the finance committee has a role here. And I think we need to watch our own mission creep. So I don't think we should take a position on this article, given what it says now and what we understand it does and doesn't do.
okay, thank you. Peggy?
I agree with the previous three speakers.
Okay, thanks, Peggy. Ray?
Yeah, I guess I love that trail. I ride it a lot and I think it's wonderful, but I don't think that we should be, it's just I don't know, it's a litmus. It's it's just a question for the town to decide if they had money and if they have a trail program, then it's one of the trails to be considered, or one of the resources to be considered. Yeah, we shouldn't have a position on that, and we'll see what happens as far as money later.
Okay. D?
If the chair is ready, I would like to make a motion on Article 46.
I'm ready.
A motion on Article 46 of no position.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, then I'll take a vote. D. Ortner,
Yes.
Chris Reynolds, yes. Ray Andrews,
Yes.
Peggy Briggs,
Aye.
Eric Dahlberg,
Yes.
Don Kupka,
Yes.
Mary Hartman,
Yes.
Lois Wassoff,
Yes.
Kathy Kukalo,
yes,
Greg Gariello,
Yes.
Brian Taylor,
Yes.
John Hickling.
Yes.
Okay, and so that's unanimous. So our position will be no position on 46. I'll let Carmen know that we have a change. And I don't know if I'll have to do another handout or whatever, but if I do, we'll just do a quick handout on it. And we'll explain our position related to advisory and no use of tax dollars for the article. Okay, terrific. So those are the three articles that we're still moving. So we've done that now. Okay, so I want to move to statements. So we have the opportunity at town meeting to make statements. So I don't know, 2 weeks ago or so, Carmen had a session where we talked about it, a couple of folks, and I was invited to that. So I identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items that I thought we might want to say something on. I think now there's only 5 because I think we will probably not comment on 46, given that we have no position. So it was on the list because we had no action, but I'll remove that one now. So here was my thinking on the articles that I chose, and this is up for discussion. This is not, in stone. I can always go back and say we changed our mind. We don't want to comment on one, and maybe we want to add another one. So here was my thinking. So I just chose items that were either very significant in terms of dollars, or that we knew perhaps people would be really interested in why we voted the way we did. That's how I came up with the list. So 9 and 10 are the town's budget and the town's capital budget, which are just large dollar items. I attached the statement there. So we'll go back to the words themselves, but that's why 9 and 10 were in there. It's simply because it's a substantial amount of money. 18 is CPS, which, given that we've had a lot of interesting discussion on CPS, I believe we should make a statement on 18. I didn't put 19 in there. Now 19 is the capital budget. So it could be that we end up saying something on 19. I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out if we want to say something on 19. 24 is affordable housing. And in the past, we voted no a couple of times on affordable housing. This year we voted yes. And I think because of the work that we've done, hopefully you agree as a committee, we've had some, I think, good discussion around affordable housing this year. And we also saw a movement in the town. They took the money from essentially backfilling it from ARPA. So I thought 24 was a good one for FinCom to comment on. 25 is Assabet River Bluff, which is a significant land acquisition in the town. And I thought we should say something on that. I was unsure as to whether we would say anything on Beatty Center. I don't know if you noticed, but Beatty is not on the consent calendar. So all of the other enterprise groups are on the consent calendar. Beatty is not. And if you remember from the hearing, Beatty continues to operate at a loss. One of the things that Kate Hodges said, I think in response to a question, was that if the losses continue, they have plans to hopefully get more membership and so forth, but if the losses were to continue sometime in the not too distant future, there's going to have to be a discussion about what is the support going to be for Beatty, because their endowment is going to run down. So I didn't put that on the list at the time. I wasn't thinking of that, but that's another one that folks may wonder where we are on that one. And those are the ones that I thought of. So are there others? Or maybe I'll start out. What do you think of that list? Do you like that list? Do you think those are things we should comment on? I'll start there. People have any issues with that? I'll start with Dee.
Yeah, a couple things. I think that we're very clear in the workbook, which is excellent, on Articles 9 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that we need to say anything. If you have a handout that you're distributing, you could include the information that you've already articulated in those two articles. I agree with having statements on Article 18 and 19. And then on 24, which I don't have any comment on 24 or 25, but I do have a comment on the Beatty Center, which is, I'm not sure if this is the right year. What was discussed at the meeting, I think, was within the next 2 years, it's going to be a problem. I think that was really what I took away from it. And I would suggest that maybe the Finance Committee invite the appropriate people to come in and talk to us about the Beatty Center in the upcoming year, so that we have a real heads up on what the financials are there and what the issues are.
Yep. Okay.
That's all.
All right, good. Peggy,
I'm not suggesting we make more work for ourselves, but it seems like we usually comment on the high school budget as well. It's obviously a lot of money. No?
I don't think we typically don't
Mhm.
comment on the school's budgets unless, I haven't seen us. So of course, the last 2
Mhm.
years have not been typical in terms of town meeting. And I only, before that, I only had, I think 1 or 2. So I don't, you have more history than I do, but Mary does too. So since I've been here, we have not commented on the town or the school budgets that I remember.
Yeah, we haven't.
We haven't.
I defer.
Okay, all right. So it's an interesting consideration. Okay, Greg.
Yeah, I was going to similar. Do we need to comment on the CPS budget now that we've come to an agreement? Like, do we need to give a history on that, or I don't think we do.
It's
do
not a
we?
history, right? So did you read the statement?
I did not, to be honest with
Okay,
you. No.
so the statements were sent to you, folks. So they're in your attachments. So the statements on 18 is really more about the future. So it raises the issue of we're fine with the 3.12, but we're worried about the impact on future bills. So I'll bring it up in a second. We'll talk about the statements themselves, but topically, I wasn't going to rehash the past.
Right, that's a good point to bring up
Yeah.
of just the
Yeah.
concern going forward.
No,
So that's
that's
perfect.
very fair question.
My apologies for not reading.
No, fine. Anything else, Greg, on that list? No?
No, I'm good with the rest.
Okay. Mary,
I agree with Dee that I don't think we need to say anything about 9 and 10 because
Okay.
we do, but again, just my opinion and.
no, I hear you.
I
Yep.
think we should say something about 18, especially since it's going to be more forward-thinking statements we're going to make. And 19 as well, because I think it would support the position of moving to more energy efficient systems within the school. Not sure about 24, because the only thing that's changed there is we're saying, okay, now we're approving it, or now we're recommending affirmative action because it's coming from ARPA, right? That's.
Yeah, well, we also, so, we also got to say we're happy that they have guidelines, right? And we're looking for, we're hoping that they're going to have real goals. So that
Yep.
was again, kind of a forward-looking hook to say,
You're right, that's
this
good.
is good, we're going in the right direction, but let's get some quantifiable goals here, guys. So
Okay.
it was a
And that's,
yeah,
yeah, any chance we get to, to get people's attention and have them think forward is good. Assabet River Bluff, that the $500,000, that's very complicated. So I don't know if we really want to stand up and
Yeah.
try to explain that,
Yeah.
because apparently we're making good headway to getting the grant. And then the question is, well, why do we need the 500 if we've got, so let's think about that a little bit. That's really complicated.
yeah.
And I also agree with Dee that I don't think we're ready to talk about the Beatty Center yet.
I agree. I think we're not. I just wanted to make sure I raised it because I thought it was going to be on consent, and then I saw that it wasn't. I said, somebody decided they wanted, the select board, someone must have decided they wanted to talk about it.
Well, maybe, I don't know. I shouldn't have said that so definitively. Maybe we should say something like, or at least remind people that, yes, within a year or two, we've got to take a serious look at this. I don't know. I'll leave it up to the rest of
Yeah,
them.
I mean, we haven't had a discussion with them, but it was in it. It was, they said it at the hearing. So
Yeah.
Lois.
Yeah, I raised my hand because I was going to support what Dee said about not talking about the Beatty Center. But listening to this conversation, I may be changing my mind. Because this would be a significant difference. The Beatty Center is treated as an enterprise fund, and it isn't within the guidelines. But if the town has to start subsidizing it, does that sort of move it over into our world? Is it suddenly going to be using taxpayer dollars?
Yes.
So
my assumption, I don't know what will happen to it, but that could happen. So
yeah. So maybe it is useful to the extent people are going to be paying attention to that level of detail, it's good that it's come up for us as a committee and that we know we need to look at this over the next year.
Yeah,
I think the question in my mind is this the right moment to bring it to
Yeah.
town meeting and say, you need to be aware that at some point this may move,
yeah.
this may become another place where your tax dollars
how-
are going to be going directly.
Yeah, how about this? So I agree, but what we could do is we could say nothing and we could listen to the presentation, but be prepared. And I think the presentation is going to hit on that point. So I'll check on that, but I think it is. So if the presentation itself, talks to the fact that there's going to have to be a rethinking here in a couple of years. I don't know if it was as close as 1 or 2. I think they have $1 million something left. So, and they're only running about $100,000 a year. So they have some money left. So I don't think it's imminent that they're going to have to do this, but I do think they're going to have to start talking about it soon. So if the presentation itself hits that point, then I don't feel any need to say anything. We could, if it doesn't, we could just have someone go up to the mic and say, hey, by the way, just pay attention to this. It could be it doesn't have to be a big go to
Yeah.
the podium comment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's the right approach. And it could be something as simple as saying that, making a statement that the finance committee is aware of this possibility and is going to be monitoring
Right.
the situation over the
Yeah.
next year or so as it develops. So I don't think we need to take up time with town meeting to make a formal presentation on this. I think it also tends to make I don't quite know why BD, out of all the enterprise funds, ended up being the one that's not on the consent calendar, but
I don't know. I don't know. I think, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, and so
don't wanna speak
I don't
for
know
it.
that we want to weigh in on that at that level of detail, but I
Yeah.
think we should be prepared to comment depending upon how the conversation
Yeah,
goes. But I don't
I
see
think
us
that's
preparing
good
a separate
approach. People like
presentation.
that. Yeah, I'll see it. Greg, you have your hand up.
Sorry, meant to take it down, but
Okay, no problem. Brian.
I think you had mentioned that, and I wasn't clear when they presented, like at what point are they actually going to spend down this cash?
They
Because
didn't tell
if it's
us.
more than 2
Yeah.
years out, I'm thinking
Yeah.
this is way early for us to be kind of
Yeah, yeah. They didn't
raising
say,
this.
I don't remember them saying, I think it was a pretty soft comment. When you look at the losses and you looked at the endowment balance, someone asked, I can't remember, it was one of us or someone in the audience. And I remember Kate saying, yeah, we're going to have a conversation at some point
down the
about
road.
what happens with BD. So she pretty much said this is coming, but she wasn't specific as to the
Okay.
time, and I don't think there was a follow-up question, so I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I would support what you're saying. Let's hear what they have to say and perhaps comments, call an audible on commenting on this,
Yeah.
because I don't think we want to raise a red flag
No.
too prematurely here.
Yeah. And we don't know the details, right? I haven't studied, nobody's looked at, so we don't have a lot of information, which I think was Dee's point, which I think is very fair. But it did send off a red flag in my mind when she made that comment. It didn't surprise me, but it was like, oh, okay. This could be coming, to a tax bill near you, right? So we're gonna, that's why I don't mind if that point isn't made. We'll make sure we ask a question from the floor, or we do something to sort of make sure town knows that, because I think they should. I think that's a piece of information they should know. Ray?
Is BD the only enterprise not on the consent calendar? Is it the only one that's losing money or that's requiring funds every year?
Yes, I don't know that that's the reason why it wasn't on. I don't know why it's not on the consent calendar. I don't know that, but it has been losing money for some time. The others that I'm aware of do not lose money. So
yeah, I thought that it's losing more last couple of years than, because of the pandemic and so forth, lost more like 300,000 or something.
Yes, that's right.
For a couple of years, but their expectation was to lose like 100,000 a year. And
Mhm.
Mary's shaking her head no, so maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well,
Okay.
no, I've got the enterprise book in front of me and they're projecting a $444,000 loss in FY '23, but their reserves are 2.3 million.
Yeah, they have a
Right.
couple million
So-
bucks, right? Yeah.
So they're losing quite a bit of money and they're projecting to continue to lose quite a bit of money. But so that at this rate, their burn rate, they've got 4 years max.
Right.
Okay.
Peggy.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I think that those funds, that fund is an endowment. So it's not designed to burn through. Sometimes the moderator decides to put an enterprise fund up, just if they want to brag about some new events, maybe they really want to advertise the BD Center. I know previous moderators have put it on for that reason. So unless, you can check with Carmen, but I'm not sure there's an underlying, we don't need to be suspicious of why. I will also say that when it comes to town funding, the high school is going to have to step into this as well, because there's a current agreement where they don't have to pay for the swim team to swim there,
That's right.
and
That's
that
right.
should be
Yep.
changed.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, all right. So if I can summarize what I think I've heard, it sounds like we would prefer not to do 9 and 10, and I'm okay with that. So if we leave off 9 and 10, there was nothing really, the only things that I said in 9, so I'll bring up the statements now so you can take a look at them. Let me see how I do that. Where the heck is that?
Chris, if I could, while you're doing that, I heard, through the grapevine a little bit that there were some attendees at town meeting that were disturbed that we did not make a comment on the middle school special town meeting because it was such a big budget, and how come the FinCom didn't stand up and make some comments? So I wouldn't rush to not make a comment. I'd just make it quick and to the point. But I do think the populace expects us to say something. That's some feedback I heard through the grapevine.
Yep. Well, that, that's up to us, right? So what do you guys want to do, right? So I prepared statements. So let me see if I can share this now. No, I can't find it. Let's see.
Hey, Chris, are you talking about Article 9, town operating budget, and 10, the one that was a part of the packet?
That's correct.
I'm happy to share. I've got it on the screen if
You have
that's
them?
helpful.
Okay, that would
If
be
that's
easy. I don't
helpful
know
to
why I
you.
can't.
Okay.
Do you have
hold
the
on.
ability to share?
Yep. Hold on one
Okay.
second.
Yeah, so 9 and 10 were fairly simple. So in sort of following up on Peggy's thought, that's what I was reacting to say, well, if we're expected to speak on everything, even though we're fine with it, then why wouldn't we speak on 9 and 10?
Well, I think we should, just in terms of respect
Okay.
to the town
Okay.
meeting.
Yep.
Chris, is this up to us or is this up to the moderator? I need to,
Well, the way it was, I
You know?
told you, Mary, I was asked what
Okay, so it's
ones
up to us.
wanted to comment on. I
Okay.
wasn't told, I was asked.
okay, it's up to us.
So if she disagreed or she wanted us to talk on something else, I assume she would have told me by now. And that was the same thing when we got ready for special town meeting as well. So anyway, so the comments on 9 and 10, which I was going to present. P.S. I'm not presenting all of these. So as we go through the list of what you want to talk about, some of you are going to speak. So 9 and 10 were very simple. They just said, this is, to me, it would take less than a minute to read it. Just said, the two things that I thought about on debt were keep working on saving money, right? Come up with ways for us to reduce the burden on the taxpayer, and continue to be creative as you think through the debt that we're going to issue. Because in my view, those are the two things that we think about on 10.
Those are good statements. They are.
I gave them to you all in advance. I assume you
Good.
read them.
Well, there's a lot to read.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
But they are good statements. So now I'm changing my mind.
Lois.
Yeah, I think Peggy's point is well taken. That we should, the fact that we know we considered it, and somebody who read our report knows that we put a lot of thought into it, and we came to a conclusion in all of the articles that we ultimately recommended affirmative action on. But I would guess that there are going to be a lot of people at town meeting who haven't read the report, and even more who haven't been watching our meetings on the on video. So I think Peggy's making a good point in terms of reminding people what our role is as the finance committee, and reassuring people that we're performing the role. A brief statement like the one you've proposed, I think, doesn't add a lot of time to the meeting
No, it
overall,
doesn't.
but
Right.
makes that point. So
So I
I've
think
changed
it's
my
okay.
mind.
I think it's pretty easy to do. And it just summarizes some of the things we have in the report, but it also allows us to get our voice out there. So
Yeah.
this is what I put together. If you don't, we have time to work on, if you don't like this, or you like the concept of the article, but you want to say something different, we can always work on that. But those are the things that I put there in 9 and 10, I think those are the things we've talked about with respect to the town budget and the debt. So, yeah, Greg.
Didn't these go into like a handout or a packet at some point? I vaguely remember them being,
No.
so that
the
somebody
statements?
the statements could review what FinCom said on everything.
They're in our report.
Right, but there wasn't a little packet at town meeting other than the huge report.
No.
Oh, I vaguely remember. Okay.
Well, if something changes, there's a handout.
Yeah.
So there'll be a handout on Article 18, but it's that addendum that you saw. But no, we don't. So
It's in the report. I know
all that
it's in the
happens
report. Okay.
is they present the article, the moderator says select board voted for it and the FinCom voted for it. So that's all that will be said. If we want to say something else, we have the opportunity to do so, as does the select board. So the select board similarly goes through the articles and figures out what ones they want to have someone speak on. So that's what this is about. Challenge is, many of us haven't been through a regular town meeting because most of you are new. And the last 2 years, we haven't had regular town meeting where statements have been made or presentations have been made, in fact. So it's a little bit of a relearning here on this one.
So what's this year's meeting classified as?
It's regular.
Regular.
It's regular.
Oh, not
Regular.
3 days though, right?
Well, I don't know. We're going to talk about that too. It's regular and you're going to
Regular expedited.
That's right. Okay, so a little show of hands. Are people okay with me making that statement on 9?
Yes.
Sure, yeah,
Okay. How about 10? You
Yes.
okay with 10?
yes.
All right. Okay. So we'll do 9 and 10, and then the next one is, what one is it? It's
18, the CPS budget.
CPS with Parashar was going to make the comment on 18.
Great.
I don't know what I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Yeah, so Parashar is going to make this comment on 18. And I don't know what we're going to do on 19. So if we want to say something on 19, we can. I didn't prepare anything on the high school. There's not much to say, right? They came in on guidelines. There's nothing really exciting to say. So I wasn't going to make a separate statement on the high school. It's 20, you know, it's, I'm all right with that, if you guys are. 24 is the, I like that one because it has a forward-looking comment about, you know, the fact that we want some quantifiable goals, but we're happy where they're going in the right direction, and we're happy that they got money this year. And Ray Andrews is going to do that one. Are people okay with 24?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, can I just ask one quick question on 24? I thought Mary brought up a really good point in one of our meetings. Maybe this is too much to go back to, but you know, that the project only really has 5.
You mean 25?
I'm sorry, are you on 24? I beg your
Yeah.
pardon. Yes, I'm talking 25.
Okay,
Sorry.
hold on. Okay.
Sorry, next one.
Okay, so we're okay on 24. And that's going to be Ray. And so 25 is Assabet. I don't know. Do you want to, maybe we don't do Assabet. I put it on there because I thought it was a hot one, but it doesn't mean we have to do it. We don't have
So I
much
don't
to
wanna-
say.
Yeah, I didn't want to put words in Mary or Dean's, you know, mouths, but I thought Mary brought up a really good point about, you know, a project like that only having 5 affordable housing units. And I thought,
over
I know
here.
Dean, I don't think Dean is on tonight, but I thought Dean brought up a pretty good point. Like you know, it's yet another kind of park recreational open space expenditure for the town, and which is great, but we do have quite a few already. And I thought Dean had a good point on that topic too. So I don't know whether that was broadly felt or not.
Mary?
Chris, you want me to, you're right, John, we did bring that up, and that was also brought up a number of times at the select board meeting, and that pretty much has been resolved. And the select board voted unanimously to recommend affirmative action, and so did we, by the way. So at this point, I agree with you, and I'm still disappointed that we only get 5 units, even though the affordable housing people are putting up a large portion of the money, but I think that's the best we can do right now. So right now it's, do we want to stand up and make a statement explaining our recommendation of affirmative action? And right now I think we're just looking at, what are you saying? What are you thinking, Chris? Just the $500,000 debt?
I mean, that's really all it's so weird because that's all 25 really is, right?
I know.
26, which is CPC, you know, gets into the $1 million that we gave,
Right.
you know, for open space and for.
It's
affordable
and the
housing.
timing's unfortunate that 25 is before 26.
I know.
It's because it just opens the door to the whole thing.
Yeah, it does. It's complicated.
So I
mean,
think
yeah.
we could do it. We could do it. Maybe we should prepare something that talks about 25, about, you know, why we need the 500,000 upfront to fill in a gap while we wait for the grant. And I think we could do a good job.
We
of
have it.
that
We
without
have it.
getting into too much trouble.
Right. Well, we drafted it, Mary. You drafted it. We have
I
it.
did. Oh, I did. I drafted it. So I
Yeah,
can
we
read
have
it.
it.
I can read it.
All right.
If you want me to.
So
What
so
do
it
other people think?
it does address the one issue of, gee, are we worried that we're not going to get our money back from the 500,000? That's pretty much what it deals with. It deals specifically with the article, which is the borrowing of the 500,000 in order to help them get to the closing on Assabet. It doesn't talk about affordable housing. It doesn't talk about any of that other stuff. It
That's
just
right.
talks about the 500,000. So do people want to do a statement on 25, or do they think we should skip it? We can do it. We have it drafted. We could do it. Mary agreed to do it, so we could do it,
But we don't have to.
but we don't have to.
I have
Dee,
my
I see your
hand
hand
up.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. Since we really don't know the outcome, yes, hopefully we will get a grant so that the $500 doesn't come out, but we don't know that for sure. So I'm leaning towards not saying anything, waiting to hear what, there will be discussion on that article, waiting to hear what the discussion is. I don't think we need to say anything. That's all.
Yeah. What do you think that people would expect us to say something on 26? I mean, again, the amount of money that's being spent on 26, it simply becomes an allocation, right? So we look at it in total in my line item, but in general, that's about the same amount of money we've spent on CPC in the past. So, and as we said in our report, it meets the requirements under 20 CPC Act. So
Here again, I would say, unless it's called out, unless somebody says, I want to review whatever article, whatever item number it is. I don't think it's really necessary. We already voted yes on the entire article. So
Okay.
if we might have to confer if an item is pulled out and people want to, increase, decrease, well, they can't increase, but if they want to decrease,
Yeah.
shift numbers, that sort of thing, we may want to discuss this
Yep.
in committee.
Okay.
Are we talking about 25 or 26?
20,
was just
we
talking about
moved into
26.
26.
Yeah, she was just talking about 26.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would, so, all right, so let's hold 25 off. And let's see what happens at the meeting. And if we feel, that we need to, if for some reason there's a question that we think we need to say something, then we'll look it up and we'll say something.
Okay.
All right, so let's leave it off. And I didn't put 26 on the list. I don't feel a desire to put 26 on the list. If anybody else does, I'm certainly willing to talk about it, but. Okay. And I said 45 comes off, not 45, pardon me, 46 comes off. That was the reformatory branch tail, since we have no position. So those were the ones. So 9, 10, 18, 24, and 25. Sorry, 24, not 25.
Good.
9, 10, 18, and we think 19, and 24. Okay. So we don't know what we're going to say on 19. We'll have to draft that up on the floor, and we'll have to figure out who's going to speak to it.
That's at 12:30 on Sunday, right?
At 12:30 on Sunday, we're going to be talking about 19, I hope.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Exactly. But probably after that, someone's going to have to write something up to say. Okay. So you're comfortable if we don't talk about the high school? I don't have anything to say about the high school. It would be kind of a silly statement. We looked at the high school and we liked it. So I don't have much to say there. If someone wants to get up and talk about the high school, that's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead and do it. Okay. Annual town meeting process. Okay, so logistics. So we're at the high school. Everybody knows that. You should be there a little bit before 12:30 so we can get ourselves organized and have whatever discussion we're going to have on 19. Let's see. So I believe now it's going to go. I think it could go until 6. So initially, I think it was going to go till 5. I believe now it may go until 6, depending on how the meeting's going. It won't go late. They won't take any new business after a certain time. And I think it's going to be 6 o'clock. So it's still going to be a long time if you're there from 12:30 till whenever. Should we get pizza or something? Do you want to have, when you show up at 12:30, do you want some food? Because you're going to be there a long time. And then the same thing on Monday, the moderator would like to finish up town meeting on Monday. So Monday could be long. So I don't know what we'll do
We
for
need
food.
coffee on Monday.
Yeah, I know. So you have to, if you don't want to have anything like pizza, you have to bring your own stuff, right? So you got to bring water and snacks because you're going to get hungry.
What are the
Just to-
hours for Monday?
Yeah, what are
Wait
the
a
hours
minute,
for
what?
Monday?
7 to
7.
whenever.
7 to whenever.
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 O'clock in the morning?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Get ready.
We've been there. We've
Buckle
been
up.
there till 11:30. I know for sure. We've been there.
Things at 11
We've been
o'clock
there
go
till midnight.
fast.
I've been there till midnight before. So that's what happens.
Bring us some food. Bring us some
Bring
food.
some food. Well, you
Bring
can bring
food,
your
bring
own
food.
food.
We always bring food to share
Just
when we
bring-
were
So,
indoors.
yeah, so you can bring
Yeah.
your own, there is some talk that they might have some vendor or somebody, you
really?
know, with,
Yeah,
but I'm
concession?
not promising that. I think the best thing is to bring your own food. If you want me to, I know Kerry, the town ordered pizzas and I'm happy at the field. So if you want me to do something, I don't know how to do that, but I can figure it out. You guys had lunch, I know, at the field, Kerry.
Are we on the field Sunday?
No, we're no. It's in person inside the gym. This is a regular town meeting.
Both days, okay.
Yeah.
Chris, I wonder if Chris Carmody knows anything about a food vendor.
Ah, is he there? Yeah.
He is.
We don't have one lined up yet, but we're still talking. And our backup plan right now, which the select board is doing, is to order pizza before town meeting at 12:30.
How about a couple of food trucks?
Yep. Yep.
Carrie is about to tell us it's pizza.
So do you
Don't
want
get
me
us, don't get us started on food trucks. That's a hot.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Terry has
So-
her hand raised, Chris.
Terry does. Okay, great. Terry.
Yes, I just received a text from School Committee Chair Cynthia Rainey, who was at the CSEC meeting about Article 19.
Yes.
And the school committee and the CSEC are in complete agreement, and there will be no amendment to Article 19.
Okay. Well, that answers one question anyway. Thank you, Terry.
So does that mean that the 900,000 holds, but we're not sure what's in it?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, I think we know what's in it though, right?
Well,
Yeah.
we do.
Changes there, but that would be an amendment, wouldn't, well,
No. the
No, no.
no,
900
it wouldn't be an amendment, would it?
No,
Okay,
no.
Right.
okay.
They're
Right,
going to
no,
come
it's
with
in
an
it.
article that's, yeah. The article
okay.
wasn't specific on the details.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But
So do
I
we-
think Dr. Hunter will probably say something like that 300,000 that you talked about for the electrical and 50,000 to study the boilers.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Okay. All right, good. Well, thank you for that update. So a
Do
little
we
show
still
of
need to
hand.
meet at 12:30?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I believe we do. We haven't
right,
taken a
okay.
position on 19. So,
Okay,
and I
just
don't think we
asking.
have any
Okay.
information to do it.
Okay.
So we still need to meet at 12:30. So, going back to logistics, right? So everybody knows you're in the high school, you need to be there both nights, a half hour early. Just show up so you're there. I need quorum. I need quorum the whole night in case we have to take votes on the, from the floor, right? So that can happen. You can have amendments on the floor where people are talking about money. And we have until the end of the meeting to address anything related to money. That's what Article 3 is, which is on the consent agenda. That's our process, right? It's a town meeting process, but it affects FinCom. So everybody plans to be there, right? And if there are people who are, who for some reason cannot be there, you need to let me know right away. So I know who I've got, who's coming and who isn't at town meeting. This is the Super Bowl. For those of you who are new, this is our Super Bowl. This is important for us. We need to be there. Let's
Christine,
see.
just on that, I might be a little unsure of timing because of kids' activities. They may have a game or not, so I don't know that at this point, but I will
Okay.
let you know
Yeah,
as
just
soon
let me
as
know.
I
Let me
do.
know so I can figure out what we're doing and make sure we have quorum.
Yeah.
Because I know Amrith is traveling and I think there's one other person. I can't remember if there's one other person. Eric, can you be there?
I'll be there, but I do have to leave early on Sunday.
Okay.
I'll be in touch offline about it.
All right. Yeah, let me know what's going on. Okay. All right, so unless you all raise your hand, I'm not ordering pizza for lunch on Sunday. Unless you tell me to, I'm not gonna, you're gonna eat on your own or bring your own snacks, whatever you're gonna do. All right? I'm happy to do it if you want me to do it, but I don't want to bring it and then have nobody have it, so. We don't really have a place to eat it either, so it'll be a little, we'll have a table, so the way it sets up is the way typically they set up 3 or 4 tables for us at the front. So on one side is the select board and the school committee, and because there's so many of us, there are like 3 tables. We sit at the tables facing each other. We're right near the podium if we need to get up and speak or do whatever we need to do, but we're up in the front the entire meeting. Okay, any questions on what we do at town meeting or anything like that logistically for those of you who maybe didn't attend or didn't attend as a FinCom member? Okay, all right, good. I think we're now on to minutes. We're on to minutes. Okay, so we have 20, let's see how many we got, 19. I think we have 20, yeah, we have 22 sets of minutes. Hallelujah to look at. So have people looked at the minutes? Please tell me
Yes.
you have.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so I'm thinking, so I think they came out pretty well, particularly given the process that so thank you to all those who contributed to the minutes. And so Peggy and Brian and Greg, we're still waiting on, I think, 1 from Greg and 2 from Brian and 2 from Peggy. So we're hoping you will get those in. You have 2, Peggy, unless you sent them in and I missed it. But so everybody, you guys know what you have to do. So hopefully you'll get those in soon. But the others are all in. And then the Kerry on your side, there are 6 that are still owed by Maureen. So I'm hoping that she's going to work on those. They're mainly hearings.
I think we have some of those. I don't know if Bob is still here, but I think we might have some of those to send along to you.
Okay, so hopefully we can try and get them done. But Peggy, this will be, I suspect you'll finish it at your first meeting, which is in May, right? So this is the last regular meeting that FinCom will have for a minutes type item. So on the 22 sets of minutes, I'm going to go through them by date, and I'm thinking we approve them all together if we can.
Yep.
But we'll go through and see if there's any edits, you know, one by one, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna start with the earliest, which was, so I'm going to do them in date order. So January 20th, 22, which that was a meeting where we had no discussion. I have a little edit to it because I didn't say Town of Concord at the top, so I'll make sure I have the right format at the top of the minutes. But anybody else have any edits on January 20th, 22? Okay, I'm going to keep going then. January 27th, 22. Any edits on that? Okay, I'm going to keep going. February 24th, 22. No, okay, good. We had a hearing on March 3rd, 22. This was a transcription type set of minutes. So these were done by the town.
How do they do that?
They transcribe it. They transcribe it, right? They listen to it and they type it out. Yeah.
Oh,
Any comments on that? It was quite well done, I thought.
it was excellent. It was
I
excellent.
thought it was too detailed.
It is very
Well, it was
detailed.
very
Too
detailed. but-
detailed for minutes.
I'm sorry?
It's too detailed. for
It
minutes.
is, but it's a
But-
hearing. It's not deliberation. So that's
Right.
why I allocated the work that way.
But
That's the
since we
way.
need to- But since we need to get it done, I was not going to comment, but it should have been cut back.
Okay. I'm gonna take that as not not an edit though. So I'm
It's
gonna,
okay. It's
okay,
okay.
thank you. Okay, we had a post-hearing meeting, same evening, 3/3/22. Any changes on that? Okay, then We had another hearing set of minutes on March 10th, 22, again, a transcription with some edits. I edited it a few places, but just minor things. So, but that I had no changes to it after the set that you see. So, okay, same thing, a post-hearing regular meeting on 3/10/22, where we approved the articles, some of which we talked about this evening. So, any changes on that? Okay. We had another post-hearing on March 17th, 22. We approved the enterprise funds articles that evening.
On that one,
Yeah.
Chris, one question on that one.
Yeah.
The hearing minutes, are those still pending with the staff?
They
Is
are.
that why all right. I was
They
confused
are.
by that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we haven't received those from the town yet. March 24th, 22, where we met with Mr. Bergman, and then we had a discussion with Parashar around guidelines. Any changes on that? No? Okay. And then April 7th, which was the last, the meeting before this one, where we also talked about CPS and Articles 24 and 25. Okay, so those are the 2022 minutes. So we have no edits on those ones, so I'm going to hold those. Why don't we, let's see, we'll do emotion all together, so I'll hold it. And now if we go to 2021, again, I'll start in order here. So the first meeting was February 4th, 2021. And I had no comments on that. Does anyone else have comments on it? No? Excellent.
Sorry, Chris,
February-
just as a procedural point,
Yeah.
Does it make sense? I mean, this is great running down it, meeting by meeting, but does it make sense to reverse it a little bit and just ask everyone or anyone whether they had any comments or edits on
Yep.
any of the meeting, minutes and on which dates? And to, so I don't mean to disrupt your process, which is perfectly good, but it might be quicker, more expedient to just reverse it and ask if anyone has any comments on any of the minutes.
Does anyone have comments on the minutes?
Just a couple comments, one being that I thought the transcriptions were great, and the other being, I only saw one time, Chris, where you were referred to as Chris Reynolds, but I don't remember which meeting
I
it
didn't
was.
see it, yeah.
No,
I didn't see
So
it.
that was it.
Okay, thank you. Nobody else has any other comments?
I have
Ray,
yeah, I have a question on December 15th.
what year?
2021.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did not go back and watch the video afterwards, but it says partway through talking about municipal debt, the state does not allow a municipality to refinance just for a lower payment. I wasn't sure whether I misunderstood that or that sounds,
that was Carrie's
true?
comment. So
is that
was
true?
Well, I assume it is. She's here, we could ask her.
It is true. There has to be interest savings. So you can't spread out the debt over a longer period of time to lower the
okay.
payment.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, okay. I misunderstood that.
Okay. No other comments on the minutes? Okay, so how do we do this motion? So does anyone, Lois, I'm going to give you all of the dates, okay? And then can you make a motion if I give you all the dates specifically?
Yep.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start from the earliest.
I make a motion to move all of the minutes.
Wait. No, I want, let me give her the dates first, okay? So then she can make the motion. She's gonna have to say the dates, Kathy, I think, right? Don't we?
Yeah.
You
we
have
should
to have
a
the
record.
dates in the motion, right?
Yeah, especially when
Okay.
we're doing them in.
Right,
like
in the
this.
minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So February 4th, 2021. February 11th, 2021. April 29th, 2021. May 6th, 2021. May 11th, 2021. September 23rd, 2021. October 14th, 2021. October 21st, 2021. November 18th, 2021. December 2nd, 2021. December 15th, 2021. December 16th, 2021. January 20th, 2022. January 27th, 2022. February 24th, 2022. March 3rd, 2022. That's a hearing, so we have 2 sets of minutes on that date, and we're going to have the same thing on any hearing night. So we have a FinCon meeting. I don't know how we
Yeah,
have a
well,
hearing.
I'll
meeting.
distinguish it in the
Okay.
motion.
Okay.
Okay, just, hearing held on March 3rd, 2022.
And then
FinCom meeting
March
held
3rd.
on March 3rd,
Right.
2022.
Okay, that's good. March 10th, 2022. That's a hearing. March 10th, 2022, FinCom. March 17th, 2022, FinCom. March 24th, 2022, FinCom. April 7th, 2022, FinCom. That's it.
Okay. So I'm hereby making a motion that the Finance Committee approve the minutes of the following meetings. The meetings held on, you want me to read the whole list?
No, I think we know.
All right, the
Are we
minutes-
okay? Yeah.
We're okay. We have a list of all the minutes, and where there are duplicate dates, it's because there was both a hearing and a meeting on the same day. So I move that
Second.
all of those minutes be approved.
Second,
Okay, any other discussion? All right, I will take a vote. Ray Andrews.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Oh.
Since John thinks that I should do the minutes here, I have a question. There was a, let's see, December 16th, 2021. You mentioned one, I assume it was a FinCom meeting, or was it the hearing?
That was the joint
that was
public
on-
hearing. That was a joint public hearing.
Wait
think.
a
On
minute.
the 15th
Wait a
or the
minute.
16th?
No, hold on.
Oh, no, sorry.
Ray, hold on, Ray, we will
Yes.
send you a list specifically, all right? You don't have to make notes. I will send you a list.
Okay,
of the
okay,
minutes that
okay,
we're
okay.
approving.
Sure,
Okay.
okay.
I don't, all
Thank
right,
you.
that's
Okay.
fine. Okay, so
Then I
we're on the
vote-
vote, Ray. So
then
do
I
you
vote
vote
yes.
yes?
I vote yes.
Okay, Chris Reynolds, I vote yes. Dee Ortner,
yes.
Peggy Briggs,
Yes.
Eric Dahlberg,
Yes.
Don Kupka,
Yes.
Mary Hartman,
Yes, sorry.
that's all right, Greg Gariello.
Abstain,
Why are you abstaining?
because I didn't get a chance to read through all of the minutes.
Okay. Kathy Kukalo,
Yes.
Lois Wassoff,
Yes.
John Hickling,
Yes.
Brian Taylor.
Yes.
Okay, good. So Ray, I'll send you the list of what ones we're putting in. So that's great. So thank you. So now we are very much caught up on minutes, which is good. And Ray, if you can draft those, I'll send you the list, but you can draft those quickly. That will be good to get those around. And in the May meeting, we can start to get caught up. And I don't know what we'll, how we'll do this going forward, but I assume until we get someone who can do it, we'll probably be doing it ourselves like that. Okay, so
I nominate John Hickling.
John Hickling's going off the committee, so that won't work.
That was short-lived.
That explains.
Let's talk about that. All right. So, okay, well, before we go to public comment, right? So, after town meeting, right? Mary is going to go up to the select board. Dean rolls off, John Hickling rolls off. And Greg, I'm not sure what's going on with you yet, but so Greg may or may not. So we'll have some new folks coming on shortly, but we want to say thank you to everybody who is rolling off, but obviously we have town meeting to go to, but just to say thank you for all the good work that, Dean, Mary, John, and Greg have done. Okay, and on the FinCom report, I want to thank everybody who participated in that. I think it came out nicely. You saw that it's our 100th edition, so it's a special edition. Keep it. You should autograph it. See if you can sell it or save it on eBay maybe one day. So, but special thanks to Lois for her help as editor. She did a tremendous job, and Kerry for her team, and Dean Banfield for work on the projection. So thanks for all your help on pulling that thing together. So it was a lot of work in a short period of time. Okay, so Dee, you had something else to say?
I did, which is every year it's very difficult for a chair to get through the year and to make it successful. And I think this has been a very challenging year in a lot of ways. And I really think we need a round of applause for Chris Reynolds as our chair from this year.
Well, thank you.
Yes, very good.
Thank
Very,
you very much.
very well done.
Thank you. Good. It was a good team effort and a lot of work, but it was a good team effort.
It
So
was a
thank you
lot
for
of
that.
work by you, Chris. We
Thank you.
Really,
It was.
yeah.
I admit it. It was. Okay. Okay. So I think now we just have public comment. And as usual, I see Terry has her hand up.
Yes, I echo those comments, and I want to thank the entire FinCom for this year and the past couple of years. I think that you guys have been extremely well prepared, well organized, and much more active and even proactive in certain areas like affordable housing. I was on the FinCom years ago, and we were meek and mild. Way to be. You guys have struck the right balance between being active and being diplomatic about it. And you're much stronger and more solid the way a FinCom should be. And I think a lot of the credit goes to the last three chairs that we've had, Chris, Mary, and Dean, but really the whole committee, Parashar, everybody has really stepped up. And your meetings have been long because you all are so active and so well prepared. And the whole town of Concord is better for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry. That was very nice. We appreciate it. Okay, so if there's no other public comment, does anybody else have any questions on getting ready for Sunday? So I'm going to try and get us more information. But other than that, we will see you on Sunday at 12:30. Sound good?
Yep.
All right. So I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion
So
to
moved.
adjourn?
Okay, second?
Second.
Second, all right. We'll take a roll call vote. Chris Reynolds, I say yes. Dee Ortner,
Yes.
Peggy Briggs,
Yes.
Eric Dahlberg,
Yes.
Ray Andrews,
Yes.
Don Kupka,
Yes.
Mary Hartman,
Yes.
Greg Gariello,
Yes.
Kathy Kukalo,
Yes.
Lois Wassoff,
Yes.
John Hickling,
Yes.
and Brian Taylor.
Yes.
All right, it's a wrap. Thank you
Great.
very much, everybody.
Good night.
Someday.
Night.